Good morning, students. Today's topic is cardiac dysrhythmias. You all know how the ECG looks. Yes, it is a P wave QRS complex. So, if there is any problem with the ECG or the P wave QRS complex, if there is any problem in the rate, rhythm, and the quality of the ECG, of course, we say it as arrhythmias. So the term arrhythmia refers to any change from the normal sequence of electrical impulses. So it can be too fast or too slow, it can be life threatening, or it can be vague one. So if we see what is the reason for dysrhythmias and arrhythmias are similar term used in different, same places. It is the meaning of the dysrhythmias and arrhythmias are same. What is the reason for dysrhythmias or arrhythmias in the heart? It is of broadly divided into two, the main etiology, cardiac and non-cardiac causes. So any cardiac condition like cardiomyopathy, conduction defects, heart failure, myocardial infarction, valvular diseases, if it affects the rhythm of the heart, we say it as cardiac causes due to cardiac problems. And now there are a lot of non-cardiac conditions which may leads to cardiac dysrhythmias or arrhythmias. So most of them are listed here. Acid base imbalance, so if there any problem with acid base balance like respiratory acidosis, metabolic acidosis, alkalosis may also causes arrhythmias. Alcohol, caffeine, tobacco, too much use of alcohol or caffeine may trigger the heart conduction system causing arrhythmias. Connective tissue disorders like SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, which affects the myocardium and endocardium causing arrhythmias. Drugs, some of the drugs, or sometimes if it is the adverse effects of the drugs may causes cardiac dysrhythmias. Electric shock, of course, causes arrhythmia and leads to death. So electric shock also causes conduction abnormality. Emotional crisis, sometimes you even can feel sometimes when we are under stress or emotions, our heart pounds causing palpitation. So these are all arrhythmias which happens due to emotional crisis. Herbal supplements, some ayurvedic medicines also causes arrhythmias. Near drowning or poisoning cases, metabolic condition like diabetes, acidosis, alkalosis may also cause cardiac arrhythmias. And also I want to include electrolyte imbalances like hyperkalemia, hypercalcemia, hypermagnesemia, hypomagnesemia also causes these kind of electrolyte imbalance also cause cardiac dysrhythmias in patients. So the causes is of two, cardiac and non-cardiac conditions. Some of the cardiac conditions which affects the heart can be listed down, and also there are a lot of non-cardiac condition which causes cardiac dysrhythmia. So when patient comes to the hospital with arrhythmia, you have to make sure what is the cause. Check the history whether the patient is having any cardiac problem, or go for these non-cardiac conditions check, because you are not supposed to, a patient comes with severe alcoholic patient comes with an arrhythmia, you cannot put the patient under cardiac problem or anything. So you have to make sure what is the cause of arrhythmia before starting treatment. So the major classification of arrhythmia is sinus dysrhythmias, atrial dysrhythmias, and ventricular dysarrhythmias. And of course atrioventricular blocks, it is a separate topic we will study. It comes under arrhythmias. So sinus arrhythmia, atrial arrhythmias, ventricular arrhythmias, and atrioventricular blocks. So if we see sinus dysrhythmias, which are very common, we have seen discussed as a signs and symptoms in every problem, sinus tachycardia and sinus bradycardia. So what is mean by sinus? It means the PQRS complex is normal. Okay, there is one P wave followed by QRS complex, we say it as sinus. Okay, so sinus dysrhythmias are very common, and no treatment is needed unless the patient comes with signs and symptoms. Sinus tachycardia if the heart rate goes more than 100, sinus brady if the less than 60. Sinus means regular heart rate. The heart rate will be regular. There is no irregularity seen in the ECG rhythm. So one P wave followed by QRS complex, and the PP interval, RR interval are equal, where the rhythm is normal. The regularity of the beats are normal, but only the rhythm, number of heart rate increases or decreases. So generally these patients doesn't need a treatment. If needed, if the patient has to show some signs and symptoms, we will put them under some management. Next we will move on to atrial dysrhythmias. If you see any changes in the P wave, we say it as atrial dysrhythmias. Most of the atrial dysrhythmias are non-fatal. We no need to become panic if the patient comes with an atrial dysrhythmias, as we can treat it. Nothing, it's not a fatal one. So it is of different types. The main important things in atrial dysrhythmias are atrial flutter, atrial fibrillation, SVT we say, supraventricular tachycardia, premature atrial contractions. We will see one by one of these next slides. The next one is atrioventricular blocks. These are all conduction blocks or heart block, where the conduction system is getting affected. You know what are all the main focal areas in conduction system: SA node, AV node, bundle of His, Purkinje fibers. Any problem with these areas, if the conduction is not regular or there is any block in the conduction system, we say it as atrioventricular blocks or heart block or conduction system abnormality. We will discuss this in a separate slides, as it is a big topic to be discussed. First degree, second degree and third degree AV blocks are there. We'll discuss later in the next slides. The next one we'll move on to ventricular dysrhythmias. These are changes happens in the QRS complex, which are very, very fatal. It means life threatening things, or you have to consider the patient to be admitted, and you have to treat these patients as a medical emergencies. So ventricular dysrhythmias are fatal in nature. So it is divided into ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation, ventricular asystole, premature ventricular contraction. So we will see everything in the next slides. So the types of cardiac dysrhythmias or cardiac arrhythmias are of four types: sinus arrhythmias, atrial arrhythmias, atrioventricular blocks, and ventricular arrhythmias. First one is sinus tachycardia. You all know what is sinus tachy. So if the heart rate more than 100 beats, we say it as sinus tachycardia. You can see in this ECG the RR interval. So whenever you look for an ECG, you should read the ECG for a P wave, QRS complex, and the regularity RR interval. If you see the RR interval, it is very, very regular. So if patient comes with sinus tachycardia as a symptomatic, so what you have to do, treat underlying cause. See what is the reason for the sinus tachycardia. It can be a drug, it can be mostly a drug or some other problem. So make sure what is the reason for the sinus tachycardia. Usually patient comes with alcohol, tobacco, caffeine may also be a reason. So check what is the underlying cause. Usually beta blockers and calcium channel blockers are the drug of choice to reduce the heart rate, bed rest, and oxygen administration. So if you start once the patient on beta blockers, bed rest and oxygen, and said remove them from all this alcohol, tobacco and caffeine, and find the cause and treat it, then automatically it comes down. So sinus rate more than 100 beats, and it's normally due to increase in sympathetic activity. So if you run or if your adrenaline gets secreted, sinus tachycardia happens. Conduction pathway is same, discharge rate from the sinus road is increased. So conduction path in the sense the RR interval is regular, but the sinus node is increasing the impulses. So generally what is the cause? Can be hypotension, hypovolemia, anemia, fever, pain, exercise, hypoglycemia, myocardial infarction, heart failure patients, anxiety, adrenergic stimulation, anything like you may get panic or you run, you get excited with happiness. So all this kind of adrenergic stimulation will cause a sinus tachycardia, including drugs and caffeine. If you see the clinical manifestation of patients' tolerance to increased heart rate depends upon how they do. Like some people are comfortable or they just sit and relax and the heart rate comes to normal. So dizziness, dyspnea, hypotension, increased myocardial consumption. So these kind of things, that is chest pain, hypotension, dyspnea, dizziness comes, then the patient should be reported to the hospital. So no specific treatment required. Don't give a shock or anything. Just give the medicines and treat the cause. Next we will move on to sinus brady. If the heart rate goes down to 60 beats per minute, but there is a heart rate is 60 beats, rhythm is regular, so the RR interval, if you count and check the blocks, it's all are regular. Before each QRS, P wave is present in each QRS complex. You can see here, it's not very clear, but of course P wave is there. 1, 2, 3. PR interval is normal and QRS complex is present. So the etiology for bradycardia is myocardial infarction, parasympathetic stimulation, that is opposite to adrenaline or sympathetic stimulation, hypothyroidism patient, hypoxia, increased intracranial pressure. These are all the main cause of sinus brady. The management for sinus bradycardia in emergency, it is atropine. So if patient is severely symptomatic and comes with like severe bradycardia, of course patient, we will push atropine to stimulate the heart rate. And if the patient is having sinus bradycardia throughout their day or continuously always they are having sinus brady, then we will think of putting them in pacemakers. So it is of two different types, absolute bradycardia and relative bradycardia. Absolute means always the heart rate is brady, whereas relative means due to some stimulus the bradycardia happens. Clinical manifestation, generally at rest they will become asymptomatic, they will be asymptomatic, but you can see when they do job, pale, cool skin, hypotension, weakness. You can see sometimes bradycardia people, they may collapse at times, syncope happens, confusion, disorientation, shortness of breath in case of severe sinus bradycardia. What is the treatment? As we said, atropine is the best drug of choice for an emergency. Dopamine, epinephrine, these are all things can be started as an infusion. And of course transcutaneous pacing, that is skin, through skin you can start the pacing and then you think of putting them in pacemaker. The next one is sick sinus syndrome. Say it as SSS, which is called sick sinus node dysfunction. This is a special syndrome where the patient will reportedly comes up with brady and tachy. The patient will have a tachycardia and again brady, normal, sinus, tachy, again sinus brady. So it goes like this. They will have fluctuating rhythms of brady and tachy, but the rhythm is regular. You all should always remember that the rhythm is regular in case of sinus. So brady-tachy syndrome, the other name for sick sinus syndrome is tachy-brady syndrome or brady-tachy syndrome. Usually happens due to medications like digitalis, sarcoidosis, amyloidosis and cardiomyopathy, and some cardiac problems may stimulate this sick sinus syndrome or tachy-brady syndrome. Patient comes with palpitation. Whenever they have tachycardia, they will have palpitation. Whenever they have bradycardia, they comes up with dizziness, chest pain, angina, shortness of breath, nausea, fainting attacks. So if you see, it will be like this. So the patient will have sinus tachycardia and sinus brady. This is this is the right ECG, where you can see the patient starts with a sinus rhythm. Here it goes a little brady and sinus and started with tachy. So this is how their rhythm will be. So these, because this sinus syndrome always doesn't look same in every patient, so you have to make sure the patient's rhythm is regular. See, this is tachycardia and this is completely a pass and goes up with brady, again starts with the tachy. Next one is sinus arrest. Sinus arrest means missing of one complete beat or few beats in a normal rhythm. So the patient goes with a normal sinus rhythm and suddenly one or two beats are missing. We say it as escape beats or sinus arrest. So that's what the term sinus arrest and escape beats are same. So there will be missing of the beats in between a normal rhythm. This happens sometimes due to a normal patients also. So sinus arrest or escape beat, where there will be a missing of the rhythm is regular PQRS, and in between there will be here you can see there is 3 missing beats. This is why they have wave given here, 1, 2 and 3. 3 beats have been missed. We say it as escape beats or sinus arrest. Now we will move on to atrial arrhythmias. The first one is premature atrial contraction. What does mean premature? In advance. So instead of a normal P wave, there will be a jumping of this P wave ahead, causing confusion in the ECG. The contraction originating from an ectopic foci in the atrium. So in a normal, when there is a normal impulses sent through the SA node, there will be an extra beat which is sparked from the SA node. We say it as premature atrial beats. So there will be an extra P wave. You can see this is a normal P wave, normal P wave, normal P wave. Suddenly there is one foci where another P wave jumps. So this is normal P wave and another P wave comes with a QRS complex. So this is called premature atrial contraction. Hope you understood. Yes. So there is normal P wave. In between the normal P wave, there is an extra P comes, which is said to be premature atrial contraction. So valvular heart disease, atrial enlargement, stress, fatigue, alcohol, pulmonary congestion, coronary artery disease, heart failure. So most of the heart problems may trigger premature atrial contraction. We say it as PAC. And of course, lot of electrolyte imbalance also causes this problem. So P different shape, negative deflection, hidden PR interval shorter or longer. So don't read this, you will get confused. There will be an extra P comes along with the normal P. So treat the cause, beta blockers, calcium channel blockers. Beta blockers, especially antiarrhythmic blockers, are used, propranolol. Calcium channel blockers like verapamil, diltiazem. So those calcium channel blockers are used to treat the premature atrial contraction. So don't go for beta blockers, means bisoprolol, atenolol, because those are antihypertensive. You should go for beta 2 specific blockers, that is propranolol. And calcium channel blockers also, there are separate antiarrhythmic calcium channel blockers like verapamil, diltiazem, which are used in this antiarrhythmic drugs. Next we will move on to atrial fibrillation. Fibrillation means it is like shivering. So quivering or shivering, we say it as fibrillation. So the atria is not pumping and it is just shivering. So you can see in the ECG the P waves never comes out properly and it will be like quivering of the P wave, causing the ECG like this. See, this is the normal sinus rhythm where the P wave is round in shape, whereas here you can see the atrial fibrillation, the P wave is quivering, there is no clear P wave. So that is called atrial fibrillation. It is a local disorganization of atrial electrical activity due to multiple ectopic foci. Okay, that means there are a lot of area where the impulses are triggered, causing 300 to 600 times even the atria will quiver. Quiver means shiver. Most of the patients with valvular heart disease, they will end up, even post cardiac surgery, they will end up in atrial fibrillation. When the atrium quivers, no problem. If the atrium is not pumping also, the blood from the atria goes down to the ventricles by gravity. So nothing much to worry, but of course you have to see the cause and treat them. CAD, valvular heart disease, congestive heart failure, advanced age due to degenerative changes, and age also causes atrial fibrillation and pericarditis. So this is the ECG which shows a normal ECG and the quivering. See here, in a normal ECG, SA node produce the impulse, nobody else is producing in atrium. So SA node is the place where the impulse is produced and it goes everywhere. So this is a normal ECG. So here in atrial fibrillation, there are a lot of focal, like instead of SA node, so many people will take over the role and everyone start producing impulses, causing, see, so many P waves. So you need to see P wave like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it means it won't look like a P wave, it will look like a quiver, that is like a shivering. So clinical manifestation, 5-fold increase will causes stroke. So generally the patient is asymptomatic and they come up with the, for some other checkup, and the ECG will be noted as atrial fibrillation. The high risk of, the main problem with this atrial fibrillation is thrombi. So thrombus will be formed if the atrium is not contracting. The blood stagnated in the atrium causes thrombus formation, which may break up into, go into cerebral circulation causing stroke, or it go into pulmonary circulation causing pulmonary embolism. So thrombus formation is the main complication of this atrial fibrillation, and sometimes patient may end up reporting cardiac output decreased cardiac output. So how you treat this problem is calcium channels, beta adrenergic blockers, antiarrhythmic drugs like lidocaine, anticoagulation therapy. Of course, patient is having high risk of thrombus formation, so they will be under antiarrhythmic drug like warfarin, anticoagulation like warfarin. And there is a surgical procedure called cryoablation. They will use a cold stream just to suppress the foci, kill those foci, extra foci, so that the rate will decrease. Either they use a cold wave or a high heat intense ultrasound waves, ultrasonic waves. They say it is the MACE procedure or cryoablation, where they destruct or kill the focal areas, extra focal areas, and so the rate decreases. So this is the same, heparin should be started, and if patient is inpatient, and they will be going with warfarin as a management, anticoagulation, and anti-arrhythmic drugs will be started IV. Lidocaine kind of drugs will be started 2 mg per kg over. Next we will move on to atrial flutter. It is an organized regular rapid upper chamber. So this fluttering means you can see the butterflies, how they flutter the wings. So same like this, the atrium, it is not like fibrillation or shivering, but it will flutter. So if you see the ECG, there will be a P wave, but it is of so many P waves. See, 1, 2, 3. It's a beautiful ECG if you see a flutter. It is easy to identify. Excuse me. Atrial flutter is an organized, regular, rapid upper chamber rhythm. So the fluttering may be like, it depends upon per minute, it will be like 250 to 350 beats, but it is a stable rhythm, whereas it's not like atrial fibrillation where it is an unstable rhythm. So it comes from a single place but so many impulses. So in atrial fibrillation you saw so many places different impulses, whereas here there will be one place where it produces so many impulse. So the fluttering of the ECG, you can see it is a nice P waves, but for 3 P waves 1 QRS complex, 3 P waves 1 QRS. So we say it as 3:1 here. So there are a lot of cardiac problems, and hyperthyroidism, hypoxia will stimulate this atrial flutter. So we say it as saw-toothed pattern. It means the one which they use to cut the trees. So those kind of edges the P wave will show. Usually the patient is asymptomatic and sometimes they complain of palpitation. So the ECG will show saw-toothed appearance. That means P wave will look like a sawtooth. So the treatment is, of course, calcium channel. All the arrhythmias are treated by antiarrhythmic drugs like calcium channel, beta adrenergic blockers, and pacemaker. So these are all the main 3 drug of choice in all all arrhythmias. You can do cardioversion in this cases like flutter or fibrillation. Cardioversion is a good choice. You know what is defibrillation and cardioversion? Yes, this elective shock is given in these cases just to bring back the rhythm. And this flutter and fibrillation patient has a chance of getting stroke because of thrombus formation. So usually they will be on anticoagulants. So this is another ECG which shows the flutter. Here you can see the fluttering ECG and the normal ECG. Next we will move on to tachyarrhythmias, which are high risk arrhythmias which needs an emergency management. First one is supraventricular tachycardias. Supraventricular tachycardias comes under atrial arrhythmias, originating from, as it is like a sinus tachycardia, but the rate will be more than 100 to 300. So sinus tachycardia is heart rate more than 100, whereas here supraventricular tachycardia, we say it as SVT, is usually the heart rate goes more than 150 to 300. So here you can see the ECG, it is very fast, where you cannot exactly identify what is P wave, what is T wave. Overexertion, stress, deep inspirations, intake of stimulants, drugs sometimes happens, SVT happens. Management, usually the antiarrhythmic drugs are given like adenosine, beta blockers, calcium channel blockers. Digoxin may control the rate. Cardioversion is the best treatment. If it is not, pharmacological method is not effective, then automatically you will take the patient to cardioversion. This Valsalva manner cuffing, vagal stimulation, it is not used nowadays. Next we will move on to ventricular arrhythmias caused by firing of an irritable pacemaker. So here it is ventricles. Once it comes to ventricles, the problem is different. So if the atrium is not pumping, is there any problem with the atria? No. The thing is, like, the blood will pump into the ventricle by gravity, so there won't be much problem, whereas the ventricles are working against gravity to push the blood into the pulmonary veins, as pulmonary arteries, and into the aorta. So if there is any problem with the ventricles contraction, then it's going to be an emergency. This is premature ventricular contraction, where the firing of the ventricles happens just before the normal QRS complex. See, this is a This is a P wave, QRS complex. P wave, when the QRS complex is about to come, there is another QRS which is, see, there is another contraction happened together. You can see widened QRS complex. Here also, this is normal QRS complex and this one is widened QRS complex. So it means double times the ventricle has pumped. When the ventricle is pumping, there is another pumping happens, and that's the reason why here the QRS complex is widened. Hope you understood. So here these are all normal QRS complex. Here you can see there is a wide QRS complex which is an indicative of premature ventricular contraction. We say it as PVCs. Here also you can see the P wave is widened with this. Here also it is widened. Here it is widened. So this is a normal QRS, sharp, narrow one, whereas here it is wide, flat one, which is called PVCs. Next we will move on to ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation. These two are life-threatening dysrhythmias where you need to put the patient to a defibrillation. So it's a life-threatening dysrhythmia occurs when irritable ectopic foci in ventricles take over the pacemaker. So instead of SA node, the ventricles start triggering impulses. So this is a ventricular tachycardia. So you can see the normal sinus rhythm and the ventricles. So only you will see QRS complexes, but it is fast and the rate will be more than 100. So here the patient usually may be symptomatic. If it is for short time, the patient will be asymptomatic. Otherwise, the patient will be symptomatic like collapse or go to fainting attacks. So the rate will be more than 150 to 250. There is no PR interval, no P wave. Only QRS complexes, wide, and it is of continuous. So vagal stimulation, but nowadays they are not advising. Adenosine, adrenaline, antiarrhythmic like verapamil, we can give, beta blockers. But these drug of choices, if not patient is not coming back to normal rhythm, they will advise the patient for cardioversion if the patient is conscious. If the patient is conscious, asymptomatic, we will take the patient for cardioversion. If the patient is unconscious, we will take the patient for defibrillation. You should remember this. So usually when this any kind of arrhythmia comes, we go for vagal stimulation in olden days, but nowadays in some hospitals they stopped this, like massaging the carotid artery and all, asking the patient to cough while massaging the carotid artery. That is, we say it as vagal stimulation. But nowadays most of the hospitals they stopped this vagal stimulation. The first drug of choice, first treatment is antiarrhythmic drugs. If doesn't work, then if the patient is conscious, you take the patient for cardioversion. If the patient is unconscious, then you move the patient to defibrillation. The next one is ventricular fibrillation, where you will see the patient collapse. We say it as cardiac arrest. When the ECG, when the patient is in cardiac arrest, if you connect the patient to ECG, you will see ventricular fibrillation as a reason. So it's a life-threatening dysrhythmia characterized by extremely rapid impulse formation, where you never see a clear P wave or QRS wave. So myocardial infarction, coronary artery disease, cardiomyopathy, drug toxicity, electric shock, hypoxemia, all these things may cause us ventricular fibrillation. So we have already seen this fibrillation. What is fibrillation? Means quivering or shivering. Atria shivers, no problem, because QRS complex is there, ventricles are pumping better. Whereas if the ventricles start to quiver, not pumping, automatically cardiac output decreases, causing patient to collapse and have a cardiac arrest. So this is ventricular fibrillation, where there is no definite P wave or QRS wave, just a shivering of the waves. So pulse disappears with the onset of ventricular fibrillation. You cannot feel the pulse if the patient is on ventricular fibrillation. The patient collapses and become unconscious. Breath, agonal breath, they start to have a agonal breath, onset of the reversible death. So reversible death, it indicates if you attend immediately, do a CPR, patient can come back to life. So these are all different kinds of ventricular fibrillation. ECG appears the quivering waves, so there won't be any P wave, no definite QRS complex, and it will just only you can see the quivering of the waves. So patient needs defibrillation immediately, CPR, intubation, and of course adrenaline, vasopressin and antiarrhythmic can be started when the patient comes back from the death. The next one is pulseless electrical activity, PEA. Sometimes you can see due to that mechanical activity of the ventricles, like in the ECG you will see the waves, but when you check the pulse, the patient may not have pulse. We say it as PEA, which is also a condition where you need defibrillation. So that's the reason while CPR we always check the pulse before starting the CPR. So pulse is the main thing, carotid pulse. If you will not feel the pulse, but the ECG when you connect, you can see some ECGs like this, looks like an ECG wave, but there is, when you check pulse, there is no pulse. The patient will be unconscious and collapsed, so the patient needs defibrillation. The next one is ventricular asystole, or we say it as asystole standstill, where there is no electrical activity in the heart. And this is a slide. You can identify what is this is. Quivering of everything, so there is no P wave, no QRS, and this is completely quivering, so we say it is ventricular fibrillation. Here in this ECG, it is a normal ECG, there is a P wave, QRS, P wave, QRS, and the rhythm is regular, but one missed beat is seen, so which is called sinus arrest. So this is SSS, that is sick sinus syndrome. Here you can see tachycardia and patient goes to brady. So here also brady, and slowly the patient comes to sinus rhythm. So this is sick sinus syndrome. This is the ECG which shows ventricular tachycardia, that is VTAC, where the patient needs emergency management. See, the QRS complex is wide and there is no P wave, only QRS complex. This one is atrial fibrillation, so you can see there is no P wave and only QRS complex, and you can see in atrial fibrillation the rhythm is irregular. So the RR interval, if you see in each ECG, it is different. Okay, this is also atrial fibrillation, where there is no definite P wave and the rhythm between the RR interval is very irregular, which indicates atrial fibrillation. So this is sinus tachycardia, SVT. Okay, and if you want to practice, I will upload a link. I will just provide a link which is called ECG simulator. You can practice your ECG, identify, it is a simulation which helps you to identify different kinds of arrhythmias. So you can do the practice there. Thank you.